A new hunter, that's always nice to see. What weapon have you chosen to begin your journey? The ever-reliable sword and shield? The unflinching lance? The mighty greatsword? I want to play music! But this is a game about being a badass! Music is badass! Stop messing around with me, just pick a real weapon! Oh, this is a real weapon! It's the realest weapon you'll ever see! Ladies, gentlemen, and masters of all ages, welcome one and all to what could quite simply be labeled my love letter to hunting horn. Yes, it's time. You've heard me talk about it in the pro and noob videos so far, but now it's time for me to sit down one-on-one with you all and tell you exactly why hunting horn is my favorite weapon in the Monster Hunter Rise demo, and why it maybe should be yours too. It's sort of hard to talk about the weapon in comparison to how it worked in Iceborne. There's very little actual mechanical similarity aside from the weapon plays music, and the music buffs you and those around you. We have a number of animations that are still the same from before, a number of things that overlap, but they activate through different means and have different effects on your hunt than they used to. In other words, hunting horn has been reworked as much as a Monster Hunter weapon could be reworked without having to call it something else entirely. And what has been changed has definitely made the weapon simpler in some areas, but it has also made it more complex and versatile in others. What better place to start off explaining this than the song system itself? In Iceborne, when playing hunting horn, you had to play a string of notes to play a song. Most decent songs were 4 notes long, and then it would be banked in your performance list, allowing you to build up 3 songs before delivering a recital. Recital was the act of actually playing the horn, playing the songs. This is what made the musical sound, and doing this applied the buffs that you had banked up in your performance list. If at the end of the recital, you press the recital button again, it would give you an extra powerful version of the base song. This was called an encore. Now the world is different. Up is down, left is blue, dogs are onions, and the hunting horn songs activate automatically when you have input the notes. This removes the entire recital mechanic from the game, as well as the encore mechanic, simplifying the buff application cycle for hunting horn and letting it focus more on just being a badass face smasher. But that's not it. The melodies have also been simplified quite a chunk. Now, instead of being a mishmashed grouping of 4 notes, could be any 4 notes in any order, whatever they chose, every single song is triggered by playing 2 of the same note. Hit X twice, that's a song. It automatically plays, no recital. Hit A twice, that's a different song. Also automatically plays, no recital. Hit X and A twice, that's a third song again, automatically playing, no recital. Looking for self-improvement, the old buff that increased your movement speed? Now that is activated by pressing ZR once. One time. And then this little breakdance move will activate it instantly. With all of this, the differences are pretty dang notable, but we aren't done yet by any means. If you play one of each note, as in 1X, 1A, and then 1X plus A, you will bank the ability to activate Magnificent Trio. This is the closest thing in the game to the recital system that was in Iceborne. It is a super long animation with a ton of hits, lots of damage, and, just for a little bit of icing on the cake, when you finish this animation, it activates all of the melodies that your horn can play. Every single one of your songs played instantly. In other words, unless you are very specifically trying to play one song, say an attack song before you engage the monster, or a healing song on repeat to heal, the most efficient way to play the music of your people is to hit each song note once, then activate Magnificent Trio. What's crazier about this is that Magnificent Trio is also an insanely good damage combo. So realistically, this is sort of what you want to focus on anyways. The result of this is pretty much 100% uptime on your melodies if you are playing well and finishing your attack animations. Of course, the weapon isn't quite yet done though, is it? Because every time you land an attack on the monster, you start to build up this gauge in the corner of your screen. And when it is full, you gain access to a new attack called your Infernal Melody. You activate this by pressing ZR at the end of a Magnificent Trio animation, or at the end of a Slide Beat animation. That's one of your Silkbind attacks, we'll cover that after. This activates an extra powerful melody buff for a short period of time. In the demo, that's Song of Raging Flame, which boosts attack considerably. This right here is essentially an anti-corner horn mechanic. They basically said, we're tired of you playing all of your songs in the corner, go hit the damn thing as much as possible or you won't fill this gauge ever.
Hit him in the face.
What this all amounts to as a whole is a super fast-paced gameplay style where you just don't have to stop and maintain your weapon or your buffs in the middle of the hunt. You go attack the monster, and by virtue of attacking the monster the most efficient way that you can, you will also play all of your melodies and get all of your buffs just because you are the glorious wielder of a hunting horn. Past this, the Silkbinds are just incredible. ZL and X is slide beat, which starts with a ton of iframes as it pulls you forward. That's invincibility frames. They make it so you don't take damage if the monster is attacking when you go through them during this period. And then it does a very similar animation to Magnificent Trio, though a little bit different, as it grants the self-improvement and attack boost melody, but the other two melodies on your horn remain unplayed. This makes this really excellent to open up a fight to begin with when you first approach a monster. Just play the two offensive horn melodies instantly and get to business. This attack also fills your infernal melody gauge really effectively, as does Magnificent Trio, basically incentivizing you to use a mix of slide beat and Magnificent Trio combos to fill up your gauge, thus playing your songs forever. Your second Silkbind is Earthshaker, which costs 2 wirebugs to stick a kunai in the monster for a decent chunk of damage, and then play a note on your horn, which reverberates through the wirebug into the kunai, into the monster, and does a load of sonic damage. It's both amazing in combat, the actual feeling of doing it to a monster, and also amazing for the class fantasy of the weapon. You're literally trying to stun a monster by treating the wirebug as a string instrument to play loud music directly into the ear of your opponent. I love this so much. This is your largest singular input damage. So using this after activating your infernal melody is an incredible combo to have access to. As a result, everything wraps up in this nice little bow. Start fighting the monster with a slide beat. Play one of each note, Magnificent Trio to activate your buffs. Alternate between that and slide beat situationally until you fill your infernal melody gauge. Play your infernal melody, use the short-term buffs that it gives you to reap massive rewards during a down period of the monster, and also in conjunction with your Earthshaker Silkbind. It's super fluid and enjoyable. There's lots and lots of invincibility frames to play around with in the weapon now, and most importantly, it feels like I'm hitting the monster in the head with a frickin' guitar. Like, legitimately. I might feel different about the weapon a little tiny bit when I'm holding one that is horn-shaped instead of guitar-shaped that we got in the demo, but this moveset just fits the guitar shape so unbelievably well. At this point, it is also worth noting, this is just the demo. This is just one of the hunting horns. So we are still missing a chunk of information to know how this will play out completely in the full game. But we have a damn good idea. For example, we do know that every melody is going to be 2 notes long, and it's always going to be 2 of the same notes. The wording in the hunting notes for the hunting horn are very clearly worded towards this being the case. If we then look at the wording of the section on slide beat, you'll notice it very clearly says attack boost melody, not your A button melody or anything like that. It says attack power boost, which leads me to believe that every horn in the game will have some sort of attack boost melody. However, that doesn't mean there won't be any sort of song variety. We don't really know about the other songs, but what I do know, what I'm almost certain about, is that there will be multiple choices of infernal melody, at the very least, given the fact that the attack itself is called Infernal Melody, and the song that it plays on the horn is called Song of Raging Flame. Like, logically, if the only option for the Infernal Melody attack was Song of Raging Flame, then Song of Raging Flame would probably be called the Infernal Melody. If the only thing that you can do by doing Infernal Melody is play one song, that song would be called the Infernal Melody, but it isn't. It's called Song of Raging Flame, so there must be more, right?
There is logic in what he says.
So where does that leave us? The melody system has been simplified significantly, yet also expanded upon in different directions. It's a lot more digestible as a weapon now. The moment-to-moment gameplay and flow between the animations just feels unbelievably good. The way that they have linked these attacks together just feels right in your hands. We now also have something larger to work towards in the Infernal Melody gauge, which creates a small period of big burst damage for everyone around you, and that thing is going to result in some crazy things for, I don't know, speedrunners once they adjust to it for the full game. Or, you know, any group of hunters. It is awesome to have a big boost of damage over a short period. It's just fun. It creates these unique moments in a hunt that you just don't get otherwise. On top of that, your Silkbinds are fluid and both incredibly useful for a variety of situations, including one of them that just has a ridiculous number of iframes. One main thing that all of this allows differently than Iceborne is the freedom to use whichever attack fits best situationally. In Iceborne, you often had to choose between the attack that did the most damage or the attack that would slowly lead you towards completing a melody. In Rise, that is not a thing. At all. Ever. Everything you do will eventually lead to melodies if you're doing decent damage. The choice for the best damage is also the choice to get your songs played, and so the identity of the weapon has sort of shifted sideways. Instead of being a support weapon that still does decent damage, in Monster Hunter Rise, the hunting horn is an incredible damaging weapon that is at least on par with the other weapons, with most of your melodies just being a bonus to you and everyone around you. You aren't a support weapon, you're a weapon that can support. It feels good. It feels strong. The weirdest part of this is the numbers itself of your attacks. At least as far as the demo goes, Hunting Horn is currently, at the time of recording this video, in possession of the second fastest speedrun time on Mizutsune, behind only Longsword. That's insane. It's not even about the fact that it's second overall out of all of the weapons in the game. It's about the fact that up until this exact precise moment in the Monster Hunter series, the Hunting Horn has been in the bottom few on every speedrun list, every monster, just everything. It just wasn't built to be the god of solo hunting of speedruns. Now, by whatever combination of changes made of the weapon, and the unique situation that is the demo with our inability to make our own armor sets with specific skills and such, Hunting Horn is the second fastest. But the thing is, it doesn't need to be. It's really, really, really insane that it is. But that part doesn't matter to me. Even if they lowered the literal damage numbers of each attack, every attack even, I wouldn't care much. It would still be my favorite weapon because it's not about the damage that it does. It's about the rhythmic flow of this musical weapon. All of the choices that you have to achieve your goals and the variety of options you have when in a sticky situation. And it has shifted things. Before, for blunt weapons, Hammer and Hunting Horn occupied a very similar space, both slower, heavier hitting blunt weapons. However, in Iceborne, Hammer became a little bit faster because of its clutch claw combos, and in Rise, Hammer has gotten slower once again. Now, however, Hunting Horn feels blindingly quick in comparison to Hammer, and I love it! I love Hunting Horn! I love Hunting Horn, and I hope all of you do too, even if you don't play it yourself. Alright everyone, I've been Cotton Dinosaur, and this has been my personal love letter to the Hunting Horn! My favorite weapon in Monster Hunter Rise. How do you feel about all of the changes to the good old dude stick? What weapon have you been completely smitten with in the demo yourself? Like if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. This is the brand new outro to tell you all the things that you do that we love, so let's start with something simple and say, oh, we love your eyes. When they're watching us play video games, when we make a bunch of jokes that are kinda lame, or when they gaze upon our failures as we try to kill the monsters, or important news about the kingdom Animalia. Rage, Continent, Hollow, we're all here, talking about the things you want to hear. So if you want to be the first to hear, like and subscribe and the bell and we'll cheer. Some of you are patrons, even though we are all the noobs and you're the pros. There's nothing we can do to thank you. No, really, there's nothing we could possibly do. Goodbye.